the fuck? Is there any way you can play that again?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to PAX.
How many stingers do you have?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to PAX. Please.
Throughout the evening, if I go like this, I want a stinger. I'm just gonna make...
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today at PAX. Please find your way to the exits at this time.
That's so good. That is so good. How many of you read the description for the panel tonight? How many didn't? Okay, so I'll start with this. So Dave Kaufman, who works for Reed, he let me have the panel, and he was like, yeah, you can have your evening with Scott Kurtz panel, but get me a description this week. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. And I forgot. And then he was like, the next week, he was like, hey, if you don't get me a description this week, I'm writing my own and you won't like it. And I'm like, oh, I'll get you one. So this is the description he wrote. Scott Kurtz looks like a nice enough fellow, but don't be fooled. That's a shallow front for the evil that lies within. Scott Kurtz is the kind of guy who will be all like, hey, PAX, can I have a panel? And we could be all like, of course, no problem at all. What should we put in the description? And then he'd be all like, /ignore. In short, Scott Kurtz is a bad, evil man, and if you attend this panel, you'll only be rewarding his bad behavior. So please, on behalf of us poor PAX content managers, don't attend his panel, don't encourage his bad behavior, show a little tough love, and tell him that if he wants an audience, he's got to earn it. We appreciate your cooperation through these difficult times. XoXo. PAX content managers. And then it says, panelists include Scott Kurtz. We assume? Maybe some of his friends? Who knows? So that, I'm gonna submit that from now on. That is my official panel description. Because poor belabored Dave Kaufman, who looks like the Hoff, depending on the stage of his haircut. I don't see my friends because they seated you so early that I didn't get any of my friends in the front row. Where are my friends at? Well, oh, there you guys are. There's my codename friends. Did Bree make it? Fucking Bree. God damn it. Bree! I was at home, and when my dad moved in with us, he was like, we need a cleaning service because now there's an extra person in the house and an extra dog, and that's too much on Angie to clean after two men and cook for two men. And apparently it's 1957 in his head, and it all is on Angie. And we were like, look, we appreciate the sentiment, but it's very expensive to have a cleaning crew come in. It's just way too expensive. But he just wouldn't shut up about it. And so finally Angie found a cleaning service just to come once a month, basically just to shut him up. But then the first time they came, afterwards we were like, this is really fucking nice. Like, that is really like a load off. Like, maybe there's some pragmatic truth to what my dad's throwing down, and he's paying for it. So, it went from, that's too expensive and luxury of an expense to fuck it, the cleaners are coming. And right around the same time, I learned, well, I didn't learn yet. I didn't know that I had sleep apnea, and I didn't realize I was exhausted all the time. I now have a CPAP machine, and I realize Oh, this is rested. Wow, that is effective. Air. Your body needs it. But, what? Preach. Our crippling dependency on air. Water's next. Air's tricky pal. What I had learned during those times of exhaustion was that the third cup of coffee makes me poop. I learned that a third cup of coffee at 48 years of age, you don't just go from, because there's a natural progression of, you definitely don't have to poop, to you're pooping. And it goes from, well, no, I don't have to poop, to like, maybe in about an hour I have to poop. And then like, I gotta poop, but I'm too lazy right now, to I better go poop. And then eventually, if you were to wait, it would be I'm pooping. But the third cup of coffee, when you're 48, skips these steps. So you go from, I definitely don't have to poop, to I am actively shitting. Once the third cup of coffee hits, once it takes effect, and you just hear, and then you're actively shitting. And then whoever you're talking to on Discord usually hears, well, we've been watching a lot of BritBox and you know. I mean, I didn't hate The Last Jedi, but I'm kind of So one day, I ran to the bathroom because I am actively shitting. And I pull down my pants and I sit on the toilet and my butt just goes. That was it. That was all I needed. It wasn't a long or, you know, turds. It was just a and I went, oh. And one of the things we did when my dad moved in, because he has a stroke-addled brain, is we installed bidets on every toilet. Oh my God! Robots will wipe your butt for you. It's super cheap to add a bidet to your toilet. Just shoot water right up your butt. It is living. It's really good. It's really good. And Angie always gets mad at me because she'll hear me in the bathroom going, oh yeah, that's the stuff. She's like, stop it with the bidet noises. And I'm like, get in there, clean it. Or I try to line, so I'm always kind of like this on the bidet, trying to line it up so it gets right into my asshole. And so I'm doing Star Wars, I'm like, stay on target, stay on target. Why can't I find my asshole? We used to hunt rump rats, they're no bigger than a meter. There it is. I found the port. What happened to the ass plans? I need to find that port. But so I did my thing and I got off the toilet, and when I got off the toilet I turned around and I saw that my had left just a stripe of shit down the back of the toilet. Not the seat. I would have cleaned the seat. It was, so you know if you lift the seat, there's still a top of a toilet. But it's not the seat. It's still the bowl. It's outside of the bowl for sure, to be sure. But that's, I think the ref would call, that's still the bowl. Because you can't leave shit on the seat. On the bowl, it just was this little like, And so I reached beside the toilet for these cool things we have. That's like a wand, and then a plastic tube of these little pads, and you just go click, and then the pad makes soap, and then you clean the shit, and then you go to the trash can and push the thing, and it lets go of the pad, and then you get to clean the toilet and never touch anything. And I'm like, well, I'll make quick work of this. We're out of pads. Oh, I'll clean it later. I did not clean it later. So fast forward to, I don't know, all the days are blending together now. Fast forward to some time later, and Angie's like, oh, the cleaners are coming today. So I had to run errands, and we have 3 dogs now. My dogs and my dad's dog. And my dad's dog's favorite pastime is making noise, just barking at everything. Kaiser. Kaiser, the dog my dad insists only speaks German because he taught him German commands. So you don't say sit, you say sitz, bleib, geh hoch, geh runter, geh weg for go away, steh auf for stand up. And he understands that, but it's not like the fucker speaks German. But my dad insists, he doesn't understand you, he speaks German. But like my dad would talk to him, like when he would leave, he would be like, okay, Kaiser, wir gehen, ich bin heim, eine Stunde. And Brian's like, what is he saying? Oh, he's telling the dog he'll be back in an hour. And the dog's just like, Chesapeake Bay Retriever, because we got my dad a dog after his first stroke because he was sleeping 14 hours a day, and we thought a puppy will get him up out of his bed. And my brother was like, yeah, we should get him a dog. And I'm like, Schnauzer, Basset, Lapdog. And then my dad said, I want a Chesapeake Bay Retriever. And I said, no, that is a big work dog. But because when we were growing up, a friend of ours had a Chessie named Duke that my dad loved, he wanted a Chessie. And my brother said, let him get the dog he wants. And I said, no, because my father is never going to be hunting quail that would facilitate the need for a Chesapeake Bay Retriever. Fucker. Smash cut to I have inherited my father's dog, and that fucker wants to hunt quail, and I am not a quail guy. I don't do that shit. So he's loud. And he's big, so everyone's afraid of him. So when you leave the house or when people come over, we have to put him in crates. And when you put my new puppy, Charlie, in a crate, he does this. Harrow, harrow, harrow. Nonstop, 4 hours, never tires, never loses his voice. He just indefinitely just makes that noise. And so I had to go run errands. We had a lot of stuff to do involving Dad and a bunch of shit I'll tell you about later. But Angie's like, well, the cleaners are coming. Can you please put the dogs in their crates? I said, yeah, no problem. So put the dogs in their crates. How? It begins. I leave. So my brother and I were running around. 5 hours later, I call Angie. How are things going? Oh, I've been in my office working. And I can hear in the background, how. And she goes, I go, wow, Charlie's still going. And she's like, nonstop. And I said, well, let him out of his fucking crate. She goes, I can't, the cleaners are here. And I said, for 5 hours, the cleaners have been there? And she goes, well, it's the weirdest thing. They were here, and I was working, and then I heard a scream. And then I came out to see what was going on, and nobody was here. What do you mean nobody was there? Like they were gone. They left? I guess. I came out, and the cleaners are gone. Well, are you sure they were there? Well, yeah, I let them in. They had already started. Was there stuff there? No. They just were gone. I'm like, well, did you call the service? Yeah, I called and I said, hey, I came out of my office and my cleaning crew was gone. And the lady went, oh, yeah, one of them saw your cat, and she has allergies, so they had to leave. And I went, no, it wasn't the cat. And Angie goes, what do you mean? And I said, they know we have a cat. They would ask, do you have a cat? No one screams because they see a cat. It was the Schittler mustache. And she goes, what? And I said, she saw the Schittler mustache that I left in the toilet, not on the seat. She goes, you didn't clean that? Oh, I meant to, but I didn't. And then I forgot the cleaners were coming. No, that can't be it. I'm like, yeah, that was it. And my brother is like in the car listening to the conversation. He goes, but they're cleaners. They've seen that. I go, that shit before? They've seen that shit before? And Angie's like, no, I can't believe. And I said, what room were they in when you heard the scream? And she said, master bath. And I said, Schittler mustache. They saw it and ran. And Angie's like, oh my God, you need to come home right now. I can't face this new cleaning crew. She was mortified. Because they send a second team to the house to finish the job. And so the cleaning crew, every time I've seen them, they've been very young, young, bright ladies. When I came in, it was a dude, like this wizened dude, and this real old lady. And I said to Angie, like, we got like the elite team. Like, they had to go out to the cabin in the woods. Wait, don't approach the hut too quickly. Go away. Damn it, Mendoza, we need you. I left that life behind me a long time ago. We need you to come out of retirement. We have a stripe of shit on the back of a toilet. On the seat? No, God, no. Not on the seat, but close. I mean, I wouldn't sit on it. It's close enough. But like Angie was mad because I was strutting around like, I'm like, this house is gonna be fucking clean now. So I came up, they go, hi, and I'm like, hey. I've got the A team now. Oh man. They've sent in the team that has seen some shit. Well, I didn't mean that. But I did, I guess. I have no sense of smell. I was born with anosmia. I've never smelt poop. So I guess that's why it doesn't really bug me that much. Because it's just mud to me. I mean, it'll kill me. It's got bad stuff in it. But like, I guess the bad part of that is that everyone in my family knows it, so I get elected for all these really bad jobs. And then when Dad lost control of his bowels, that became my job. No, it's fine. It's a part of it. It's my honor to clean up my dad's shit. What is it with elderly people not telling you they have a problem for anywhere from 4 to 10 days? They sit with it for like 10 days, and then they tell you, like, oh, I'm in so much pain, son. What? Oh, so much pain. Why? What's wrong, Dad? I'm so constipated, I can't poop. Oh, no. Well, how long has this been going on? A couple weeks. Why didn't you say something? I'm just in so much pain, son. So we give him a ton of stuff, and then couple days pass, and I just hear, Scotty! Scotty! I come downstairs. He's like, you gotta help me. I look in the toilet, and it goes like this. Bottom of the toilet, 1.5, 2 rolls worth of toilet paper, 4 days of shit. And I'm like, okay. Don't worry about it, not a problem. Do you feel better? Oh, I feel so much better. Like, good. Next time, don't wait this long to tell us there's a problem. It's not an issue. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I don't know what to do. I'm like, don't worry about it. It's no big deal. May I ask, though, why so much toilet paper? Well, wiping was making it happen, so I just kept going. And I was like, I didn't ask, but it was like, just keep wiping with the same toilet paper. Was he like, I hope this doesn't run out. I don't. He's just like, what are you gonna do? And I said, well, when the dog poops outside, I take a plastic bag, I stick my hand through it, I grab it, and then I pull the bag up. And I never touch poop, but it's in a bag. I go and I get a hefty bag. And I go, theoretically, this should work. All of you are gonna get this old. You will all get this old, and someone will do this for you, or you will do this for someone, so you fucking listen to me. I am helping you right now. You need this information. But I'm 25. It's coming. It's coming. In 2 years, I will be 50. You can't escape it, sir. You can leave now, but death's cold grip. Oh, just getting some water? I don't blame you, sir. Someone was like, aren't you afraid living in Washington that the big one's gonna hit and you're just gonna get swallowed up? And I was like, oh, that sounds so nice. The earth just opens up and swallows me? Please. May we? Where's the fault line? I want to build a chalet there. But anyway, FYI, totally fucking works. It scales. I'd moved my dad in to my house. What was it, May last year, Corey? May of last year? God, this thing ate a whole fucking year and a half of my life. I know. And when he first got there, he was like, well, how do you like it here? And he's like, well, I feel like I've been kidnapped. And I was like, okay. All right, Pops, I'm sorry. You can't live alone anymore. Well, I know, but you won't let me drive. And I'm like, well, your brain won't let you drive. In all fairness, the Department of Transportation won't let you drive. I just agree with them. But up until that point, he was just like, well, when I get back home, like that was always a thing, like, well, I'll have to remember that for when I go home. And I'm like, Dad, you're not going back to Texas. This is home now, which was always kind of hard to say. But the day I took that paper bag or that trash bag and went, okay. This is like Indy with the fucking... And I go, It never happened. And I walked out. I just walked out. I said, it never happened, Dad. Went outside and threw it in the trash. And then, yeah. Got it all up. I did not even get wet. And that water would have been poop water. It looked clear, but don't let it fool you. There was poop in it. I can't smell it, but I've read science. That is poop. And from that point on, he was like, I love it here. Yeah, he's like, I don't know what. And then the reason why I'm telling this story, because someone's out there right now going, I can't believe he's telling the story. He can't shut up about this story. Do you know what Scotty did? I had constipation for a week. And I'm like, okay. Like I'm supposed to be like, I love this story, go ahead. I did, I cleaned up a shit. I'm like the tailor with one, killed it with 6 in one blow. One swipe, 4 days of poop. Like it never happened. Yeah, getting old is bizarre. So Dad, because I know a lot of you guys follow stuff with my dad. I don't know, raise your hand if you want to know how he's doing. Not great. He's had 4 fucking strokes. 4. I don't know why he's going for a record. I told him to stop. But he had one in 2011 and like fully recovered from it, was driving again and living independently. And then we divorced him from my evil stepmother. Because men, now I'm going to show my sexism. Wow, I don't fucking give a shit. Men cannot be alone. We're not good at it. At least my kind of white, cis man. The old version, 1.0, 0.5. Early release, early access, man. Right. You still got to pay full price for the game, but I'm pre-alpha. Yeah. I'm not woke at all. I don't understand any of it. I'm just trying to get by. But men of my father's generation, that gets me off the hook. What do you think about that? Rewind it. Play the stinger. Oh, nobody. Anyway, he'll play it in the middle of my next sentence. Men of my father's generation cannot be alone when their wife dies. It does not work. They immediately run to some other woman. And his woman was the person that lived next door to me in a duplex that I was renting. And they were terrible to each other, just awful. And I think it's because when you get married in your 20s to the first love of your life and then you like build a life together, there's a certain kind of marriage that is. When you meet someone and you're young, right, and the two of you build something together over the course of 30 years, you're going to have a relationship based on that. And there's going to be 30 years of compromise and decisions. And when you get married in your 50s and you have a previous life as a part of who you are, you can't expect this new wife to just take the place. They didn't build a life together. And my dad was single because his wife died. She was single because she divorced. And he could not grok why it upset her, the knowledge that if my mother hadn't died, he'd still be with her. He couldn't get why that bothered her. And I'm like, why did you get married then? I don't understand. So they were awful, awful. 15 years of just being terrible to each other. And we were like, Dad, finally one day, you've got to end this marriage for the sake of both of you, because you're just making each other miserable. And you're hiding in sleep. Like, he was sleeping 16 hours a day. Like, he was clinically depressed. And he said, well, your mother and I did really well and saved a lot of money, and that is your inheritance. And if I divorce her, she'll get half of it, and that's not fair. And I said, no, she won't. This is Texas. In Texas, you leave with what you brought into the marriage. So everything after you married her that you earned, sure, you'll have to split with her. It's only fair. But what you brought in, you keep. Is that right? I'm like, well, why don't we call a lawyer? So we called a lawyer, and she was like, yeah, meet my forensic accountant. And he was like, hi, I'm the CSI of math. If there's semen on any of these numbers, I can prove you had it before the marriage. Do you have any paperwork? And my father opened what used to be my bedroom closet and showed him everything he has ever received on paper since 1974. And he looked like he had seen the doorway to Narnia. He just kept saying, it's all here. It's all here. He kept everything. And copious notes. Copious notes. Yes. And so my dad was like, once they told him, like, oh yeah, we can prove 100% you get to keep all your savings. And he was like, okay, how do we do this? How do we divorce Barbara? And so here's something else you need to know. Barbara came with 3 kids that were all grown, and she was starting to show signs of dementia. She was forgetting things. And so, look, they didn't get along, but I loved her. I don't wish her ill, and I certainly don't wish her dementia. She was terrified of it, and she was hiding it. So I called her kids, and I said, listen, we need to talk. There's a good chance Barbara's forgetting things, and we should all sit down and have a family meeting and decide what to do. There's a lot to discuss. You know, how are we going to... I thought I muted that. I did not. I apologize. Not important. Anyway. And her kids, who didn't like us at all, or my dad at all, told me, it's none of your fucking business. Your father is abusive. We'll handle it. And I said, are you out of your fucking mind? My father is an asshole. He's not abusive. He's a fucking dick. By the way, your mom's no fucking peach. They're terrible to each other. We need to sit down and have a family meeting because she's forgetting things, and we need to decide what we're going to do as a family because it affects everyone. And she said, your father is verbally abusive to my mother. She makes her feel terrible. Don't ever contact me or my siblings again about this. We'll handle it. And I decided to de-escalate by writing back. Very well. We can handle it this way. But know that a time will come where I feel my father's well-being and best interests are not being looked after, at which point your mother will 100% become solely your business, and it will happen so fucking fast that your head will spin at a rate as to generate enough electricity to power your house for a year. And she will 100% be your problem then. Mark my words. And to which my brother and my wife said, why would you write that? And I said, because I'm fucking mad. Like, this is ridiculous. Do they not care about their mom? So, fast forward 2 years, 3 years afterwards, I've completely forgotten the letter. And the lawyer tells us, okay, look, we know her kids aren't reasonable. We know she's not reasonable. You're about to tell her she's getting a divorce, right? You've had a month or more to kind of get used to this idea. It's the first time she's hearing it. You want one of her kids there with her so she doesn't feel ganged up on. Frank, should have one of your kids there, okay? Here's how I suggest you present it to her. I have filled out a restraining order against her. And this is what the restraining order says. You can't take any money. You can't break any of his stuff. You can't become verbally abusive. Otherwise, you're excluded from the house, right? So it was like a backup plan if things get crazy. So we rehearse this with my dad at least 50 times. I flew in from here to Texas, and she walks in from shopping and sees me. P.S., she fucking hates me. Always has. I don't know why, but she's always hated me. So she sees me, her face drops, and she's like, "Why are you here?" And my father goes, "Barbara, sit down, we need to talk." And he goes, "Barbara, you don't want to be German?" Because my dad's German. Immediately, "Barbara, you don't want to be German? And I don't want to be a Southern hick. So, it's better for both of us if we just end it. I'm divorcing you." No chance to call her children first. Nothing. Dad was just like, "You don't want to be a German wife? I don't want to be the husband to a Southern belle with all your Southwestern shit. We don't get along. I'm divorcing you." And she's like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, it's going to be great. Listen, trust me, I've talked to the boys about it. You're going to have all your life back. I'm going to have my life back. You're going to get to do all the stuff you like. I get to do all the stuff I like. You get to go be with your kids. I get to be with my kids. It's going to be great." And she's like, "I go shopping for you and I buy." And Brian and I are like, what the fuck just happened? This is not what we practiced. So she gets up. She is fucking spinning out of control. She's just crazy, going crazy around the house. And my brother's like, "Let's call your kids. Let's call Carol. You need someone here." And she's like, "This is your doing. This is your doing." And starts pointing at me. And I'm like, "Okay, I gotta go. And Brian's like, "You're not fucking going anywhere. You sit your ass down." And I said, "We gotta call Carol. Just call Carol. Stop asking her for permission." And she was carrying around, you know how you can buy those Starbucks, like a glass of fucking coffee? She takes it and she throws it at the kitchen sink, and it shatters and glass just shoots into the living room. And my brother goes, in his infinite wisdom goes, "Well, that's it. You broke the restraining order. I now have to give you this restraining order. You have done I'm like, what the fuck? So I go, beep, boop, 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 boop. "Carol, hey, it's Scott. Yeah, I hate you too. Listen, Dad made me come out to Texas because he just divorced your mother. He just handed your mother divorce papers. You need to come here now. She needs you." And she just goes, "Okay." So she comes over, calms her down, says, "I'm taking her out of here." And I'm like, "She doesn't have to go." But she's like, "No, we're going to go." They pack up a bunch of stuff. My dad comes out, and he comes up to me, and he goes, "Hey, put this in your pocket." I look at it, and it's like a bracelet, like a really pretty bracelet with jewels in it. And I go, "What the fuck is this?" And he goes, "My mother gave it to her. It's worth a lot of money. She didn't fucking remember." And I said, "No, we're not doing it like that. You fucking married her. Your mom gave her that. Give it to me. We're doing it right. We're not going to play dirty. You fucking married her. You don't get the goddamn bracelet back. Sit down. Carol, don't let your mom forget this. It's worth a lot of money." I was so pissed at him. So pissed. And he goes, "Oh." And sat down with that kind of like, I'm kind of proud of him, but I'm kind of mad at him. And so it's this, I'm the best son. Oh, I'm sorry, Twitch. Twitch doesn't want me cursing. I can take a picture of your kid in the toilet, apparently, and get back on fine, but if I make a sex noise with my mouth, squish. Anyway, so, it's the Scott Kurtz overshare hour. What was I? Right. So, super tense situation, obviously, right? Our nerves are all shot. And so Carol packs up all of her stuff, takes poor Barbara out to the car, comes back and like talks to Brian about what the next couple of days are gonna look like. She looks at me and she goes, wow, I didn't believe it, but you're right. My head is spinning. And I went, what? And she left, and Brian turns to me and goes, the letter! And I went, what? He goes, that email, and I went, oh, I did fucking do it. I did exactly what I said I was gonna do. I didn't even, but, and I go, should we? Brian goes, no, you can't go explain to her, like, it's just a coincidence that this happened, just exactly as I threatened you 3 years ago. And I'm like, yeah, but I didn't get to do the, get that bitch out of here. She's your problem now. Tell your siblings. I didn't get to strut. I didn't get to gloat. Brian's like, do you really want to gloat? I'm like, no, I'm terrified of Carol. She will fucking cut me. She will cut me. She worked at the Great Wolf Lodge. You know what the Great Wolf Lodge is? Don't fuck with anyone that works at the Wolf Lodge. Speaking of Starbucks, can we talk about the Faustian social contract that Starbucks baristas force you into in the goddamn drive-thru when you're waiting for your drink? Because you pull up and your drink is not ready. You want it and you need it. And I need that third coffee if I'm gonna shit. But like, they immediately go, so what are your plans this weekend? And instead of just going, you just go, well, my dad had a stroke and I gotta get him into a group home. It's not gonna be fun, but this coffee's gonna help. Like, you tell them you way overshare. I don't know how they do it. And then you just like, but it'll be like, so what are your plans this weekend? I go, I think I'm just gonna stay inside and play video games. Oh, what are you playing? Well, right now, I kind of got back into Minecraft again. Oh, I love Minecraft. My brother's into Minecraft. Do you do realms? And I'm like, yeah. And then you're like, oh, this barista's pretty fucking cool. And then you're like, yeah, I've been doing realms. Yeah, I've been following this guy. And she goes, here you go. And then she's fucking done with you. Like, she immediately just breaks it off with you right there. Like, doesn't even make eye contact, and she's like, do you want your receipt? No, okay, thanks. And you're just like, like, it's just so weird. It happens to me all the time. I just find myself like connecting and then realizing it's like, you ever been to a strip club? And you're like, during the first 5 minutes of the lap dance, you're like, this is what it is, but I feel kind of dirty. But then after like the second 5 minutes, you're like, fuck, she might really be into me. Or him. I've done that too. I think this guy's super into my junk. And then it's like, song's over, bye. And it's just like, they just go dead, their eyes go black like a doll's eyes. And you're like, oh no, they didn't care at all. That's what the baristas are like. So this is what I've been doing And I suggest you do the same. The minute you get your drink, just do this. So, how's your dad? What are you doing this weekend? How long have you worked at Starbucks? What's her name? What's your favorite drink to make? I like caramel macchiatos. You like caramel macchiatos? Who's that guy? Who's grumpy? Who does your hair? What? You don't color your hair? They're not answering. You just do that to the window. That's what I like to do. Is there a panel after this one?
Yeah.
Is there really?
Yeah.
Superfan Ian, what the fuck? I didn't even know you were here. Ian, can I tell a Superfan Ian story? Yep. Okay. This is Ian. Ian has been a fan of mine for a very, very long time. And one time, Straub and I had a tweet up at a bar in Fremont, not too far from here. And so it's at a bar, so everyone's drinking. And all of a sudden, we see Ian walking by. And I go, oh, I think it's fucking Superfan Ian. And they're like, what? No. And then he comes by again, and we're like, oh shit, that's him. Do you think he's coming to this? And he doesn't know the name. Do you remember the name of the bar? It was 7 million and, what was that called, Sunter, that bar in Fremont? 7 million unmarked bills. That's the name of the bar. And so Ian walks in and we're like, Ian! And he comes over, and there are maybe 10 of us there, and he comes in with his backpack and he sits down, and the lady comes over and goes, would you like something to drink? And Ian goes, yes. Zzz, Diet Pepsi. Starts drinking it, and she goes, and walks on. It was before the Google Maps era?
Yeah.
Is that why you were lost?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a smartphone, now I never get lost.
Okay. He has a smartphone, so now he never gets lost. That was the night I asked you, how'd you get here? The bus. How many buses do you have to take? 2. Where do you live? I don't want to talk about this anymore. And it's like, all right. We don't have to. We don't have to talk about it anymore. Yeah, so, I don't know. Everything's going okay. I know that a lot of you followed me online and you see me talking about my dad and stuff. So, to really quick update you on my dad. So, he did have a 4th stroke. He had one in July. We found him under his easy chair. Like the legs were up and he was underneath it. And we're like, what are you doing? Did you drop something into your chair? And he's like, no. And he goes, what are you doing under there? And he goes, I fell. We're like, oh, fuck. How long have you been down here? 10 minutes. Well, that's not true because Dad has lost in the last year his ability to keep track of time. So, and this is going to sound shitty. But dementia is fascinating. I don't wish it on anyone, but like the way the brain works and doesn't work is really fascinating. But one of the things that Dad lost was the ability to track days and the ability to track time. It was one of the first things we noticed. Everything was 10 minutes, right? So if it's been an hour, it's been 10 minutes. If it's been 3 hours, it's been 10 minutes. If we want him to get ready in 10 minutes, he doesn't know when that is. So he'd been on the ground for 10 minutes. And so we get him up, and he's very, very wobbly. And I'm like, Dad? And he goes, oh, I tripped on my blanket. I'm like, I don't think you tripped on your blanket. You do not look like you have any balance. You're a little slurry. I think we want to take you to the hospital. I go, beep, boop, Brian, get over here. Dad fell. Brian's like, ah, shit. So Brian comes over. We're standing over Dad, and we're like, smile. Lift both your hands up. Okay. Say a sentence. I don't like you too. Okay. So you fell down? Yeah. But it was because of your blanket. Right. And there's no other symptom? Well, I do have a splitting headache. And Brian goes, get in the fucking car. Are you fucking kidding me? You lead with that. Buried the lead. So we get him to the hospital. They do all this imaging, CAT scan, MRI, and they go, he's fine. Go home. We didn't see anything. What we saw, we did see damage, but it's from old strokes. So I'm like, go home. Do you see him like not being able to walk and falling over and all this shit? Like, it could be, a UTI. It could be an infection that's bringing on the symptoms of his old stroke. And so we make an appointment with this PCP. And my buddies at Logitech that are actually here, Astro, they had given me a camera that it's a security camera, the Circle. And it'll run all night. And then in the morning, you can watch what happened out front all night. There's a timeline of little bubbles. And if a bubble's blue, it means there was movement. So I brought the camera downstairs to where his little apartment pad is in my house, and I set it up, aiming at his chair, so that if he fell again, I would be able to, on my phone or on my computer, look and see. And so he fell. I looked at the thing, and he's on the ground. I run downstairs. Dad! Oh, I had to go to the bathroom, and I thought I could make it. And I went down. So I went back and watched it, and he got up, couldn't really negotiate the turn, fell to his butt, slid down to the floor. So it wasn't really a fall, like he just couldn't stay up. But he was on the floor for an hour. Yeah, and never called out. He just like laid there. And then finally an hour later, he just reached up and went on the wall. So I'm like, fuck. So I put him in bed and I said, all right, listen, don't get up tonight. We're going to see the doctor tomorrow. He's like, no, I'm so tired. I'm just going to sleep. And I said, don't get up. He goes, no, I peed. I sleep through the night. It's not a problem. I wake up 2 a.m, and he's on the ground again. So I go downstairs, and he's exhausted. He cannot get up. He's like, well, I've been laying here for 10 minutes. I go, yeah, 10 minutes. Get up. So I stayed downstairs with him, and I'm watching the thing. I put him in bed at 10. At 11, he's up. And he's just walking around, and it's night vision. And he's just like, bedroom to the bathroom, bathroom to his chair, chair to the bathroom, bathroom to the bedroom. And like, look, this is kind of scary, sad stuff. It's your dad. He's getting old. But there's like, I can't express enough to you how natural and I think important it is that we all laugh at some of this stuff. Because I think it's just important in coping with it. But we're sitting there, my brother and I, just yelling at this screen that's passed. And we're like, no, what the fuck, Dad, no, what are you doing? Sit down, why? No. And he's just, I'm like, oh, Brian, fuck, look how frail he looks, look how old he got. And Brian's like, yeah, fuck. And so we're like, look, we know he fell. We know how this ends, but we're like, come on, Dad, go back to bed, go back to bed. Get in bed. He walks back to the bedroom, and I'm like, we know he falls. Why are we encouraging him? He comes back, sits down tired, gets up, goes to his chair, goes to negotiate the turn, can't get his left leg to move right, goes to a knee, falls into the arm of his chair, and goes, Scheiße. And Brian and I fucking lose it laughing. Like we just, like school kids that watch Dad hit his hand with a hammer and you're not supposed to laugh. And we were just laughing, and he sits down and he's looking up like a little boy, like what happened? He's just like, and he's cursing in German. And we're like, what the fuck? What the fuck? And then my dad goes, lays down, pulls the blanket off his chair on top of him, goes to sleep until 2 a.m. And we're like, what the fuck? Papa! We're just scrolling through, and it's like just this mound of blankets where he's asleep. Midnight, 1 a.m., 1:30, 2 a.m. Scotty! The part of his brain that knows what's right and wrong to do works. If you ask him what he should do, that part of his brain still works. the part of his brain that makes the decision in the moment to do the thing that's beneficial or detrimental to him is broken. And that's just how dementia works. So he mentally cannot make the right choice. He's tunnel visioned. He can only see what's in front of him. And that's a chair he wants to sit in because it's in the sun, or it's a blanket he's trying to get, or it's the tum he wants out of the bathroom, or he has to pee. But he can't think far enough ahead to think, I need to call Scott because I'll fall if I go. He just knows I can go. So when I asked him, when you fell this time, I saw you trying to get up. Why didn't you just call me? His response was, well, in the Army, I could do one-arm push-ups. So I figured I could get up. That was 1967 when he did those, but still, that's where his head's at. And so we brought him to the doctor the next day, and his PCP was like, these ER notes make no fucking sense. Take him to another hospital right now. Bring him to this hospital. And they did a CAT scan and went, yeah, he had another stroke. Like, real obviously, he had another stroke. So the whole rigmarole again, which is rehab for 11 days, and then they release him, and they said, okay, so your dad needs to be watched 24/7 now. And I'm like, ooh, okay, so how does that work? And they go, well, you have to watch him 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I went, right, I understand that, but obviously people can't do that, so what do they do? I'm like, awesome. Fucking America. Thanks, healthcare. I was like, oh shit, I gotta put him in a really sad nursing home. But they said, oh, well, we recommend a group home. And I'd never heard of that. But it's like a house. It's like a sitcom. It's like an 80s sitcom. No, it really is. It's a house that somebody owns, and 4 or 5 seniors live there. They all have their own room, but they share like a living room in the kitchen. And then there's a staff of people there that watch them all the time and cook them things and change them and clean them, and they just live there. And then every episode something wacky happens, I guess. And so I had, between San Diego Comic-Con and Gen Con, we had to find a group home and get my dad moved into it in that week between cons. So that was a fun August. But he's in there, and he's doing really well, and he loves it. He told my brother he was afraid to like it because of what happens when he has to leave, which is a good problem to have, right? That's what you want him to say. And Brian's like, you don't have to leave. And he's like, well, what when I finish? And Brian's like, we don't have to finish. You're paying to be here. You know, it's not the hospital. We can't watch you all the time now. And Dad goes, oh, well, how much am I paying? I'm like, do you really want to know? And he's like, yeah. And I told him, and he goes, oh, shit. And I'm like, well, Dad, that's why you saved. That's why you divorced Barbara. So you could have it for this. And he was like, yeah. So when he lived with me, all he did was watch Westerns and sleep. We bought him a Lazy Boy, and that was a big mistake because he never left it until he fell out of it. Strokes, it's funny. But now I go to visit him, and he's like in his wheelchair at the table doing crosswords and word finds, and I'm like, hey, look at you. And he's like, it's great because when you find the word, it's a real sense of accomplishment, and you learn a new word. And I'm like, that's awesome, Dad, you know. And then it's weird. It's like this weird exercise of feeling like 20 emotions simultaneously. Like, I'm proud of my dad. I'm really fucking sad that this is what my dad's life is now. I'm so glad someone's taking care of him. I fucked up. I'm dropping the ball. Why aren't I taking care of him? This is supposed to be my job, but you can't do it, but I should be doing it. But you can't, but you should. And then someone goes, Scott, and you just go, huh, you know, and you've been like staring. Then you drive home and weep. And then you find a KFC. You order a 3-piece extra crispy. And then you throw it away. You don't eat that shit. That's garbage food for garbage people. But like, that's been my life. So the strip's not been really updating a lot. And time? I have to end on that?